Hello, everyone. It's good to be here and good to hear that there are a lot of questions, that there's a lot of interest in this session. So today we'll be talking about legal frameworks and for social enterprises and the different ways you could explore the options you have to explore in Nigeria and in some other countries as well. And the process that takes you there, how to switch from one form to the other, to see what serves you best. Then we'll also be taking questions and a little, task assignments that we will be doing together here. So why should you incorporate a social enterprise? What exactly do you want to do? Many people don't even understand the concept of, a social enterprise. You're doing good, you're doing some charity work, you're doing some social work, and you want to put a structure to it. You should put a structure to it because first off, you want to distinguish yourself from your business, from your practice, from whatever it is you're doing. And okay, yes, so you should do that. I'll go into the reason why in the next slide. But there's also something else. Some people have, like you mentioned, some people have for profits, and you want to dabble into social work, you want to dabble into, maybe an NGO, you want to find something to do, you want to do recycling, you want to do, promote some cause, and you want to put your back into it. But what many people don't know is it is a whole lot of work. A social enterprise is not something, many times, most people cannot do it as a side hustle, permit me, because it takes up your time. There's a lot that goes into it. And for you to make that commitment, there has to be a concrete reason. If you have a for-profit and you want to do, you want to dabble into that cause, is it possible to, just do it as a CSR, as a corporate social responsibility of your company? If that is what you're looking for, is it not better to not incorporate a social enterprise and then invest in one that already exists? So these are all the questions that you should be considering. But if you do decide to start a social enterprise, then how do you go about it? When your intentions have been clarified and the reasons behind them, it's easier to chart a course and from the options available to us. So I'll go to the question of why you should incorporate your company. So now I'm not talking about just social enterprises. I'm talking about even business owners that, have not put a structure behind it. You should do that because there's something called a separate legal entity. What this means is that the government does not see you. Without incorporating, you are your business, you are your social enterprise, you are your NGO. If anything goes wrong, they're coming for you. There is no liability, there's no limited liability in this case. You are as liable for whatever goes wrong as your company. So what many people do is this: when you incorporate, you're telling the government, you're telling the world that I am a separate being from my enterprise. I'm a separate being from my cause. I'm a separate being from my business. If my business is in debt, I am not in debt. It means that your debtors cannot come after you as a person. They can go after the business. And if you don't have whatever, if you have your last 10 naira, that is all they can go for. They cannot go beyond that and come for you. But when you do not incorporate, if the business is in debt, it's as good as saying you are in debt. If the business has had some sort of legal trouble, it's as good as saying you have had that legal trouble. The law sees you as your business. But when you incorporate your social enterprise or your business, you are a separate legal entity from that. And that's why we see this image here. You have the grass, you have the road. There is a clear distinction. Don't go further. You cannot go beyond this point. That is what you are saying. So you're putting a personality on your social enterprise. That is why you should do that. It has to be separate from you. Okay, so we'll talk about types of companies. Now, I'll be talking about these types of companies and using the Nigerian case study, but many of these are available in other countries, within Africa and outside Africa. The forms are very similar. So we have the incorporated trustee. This is usually, I'm starting from the incorporated trustee because there is some sort of, there's some sort of equation. People just naturally think the incorporated trustee is the same as an NGO. Not really. For incorporated trustees, it's not a company. It's different from a company. Schools are types of incorporated trustees. Churches are types of incorporated trustees. So For charity, for arts, for any social costs, you can register as an incorporated trustee. What it means is that the company or the organization is not incorporated. It is the trustees behind that are incorporated. So the people behind that are the ones incorporated. They are the ones that carry the burden for the organization. That's one way. For the company limited by guarantee, the courses are also simple. They're also similar to that for the incorporated trustees. Although you wouldn't open a school as a company limited by guarantee, and not a church and all those other classes. But for social enterprises, what you're saying is, I am a company. I want to be seen as a company. I can do business. The difference with other types of companies is that here, there is no profit making or profit sharing. So you can engage in business, but you cannot share the profit. Everything you make from business goes back into your social costs. For the incorporated trustees, you are not even allowed to dabble into business at all. You are not allowed to engage in any business. You are depending solely on grants, on aids, on fundraising basically, but you cannot do business. For the company limited by guarantee, if you're a social enterprise, you can sell your courses, you can ask people to register for something and pay. You can raise money to pay your staff. You are not totally dependent on just grants and funds and aids. When those don't come in, you can enter into business. But what it means is that there's no profit sharing. Shareholders are not making any money. Nobody's making any money. You can pay your staff, you can do that, but that's where it ends. These two categories are very similar. So many people either register as incorporated trustees or company limited by guarantee. But there's always a problem when you register as an incorporated trustee. It means that you are the aid of funds and grants and aids. You cannot do anything to sustain your business. So that's one very important distinction. For these two types of companies, for these two types of organizations or forms, if you will, frameworks, when you wind up, when the enterprise winds up, when the business winds up, you do not get to keep all your property. So if it's an office space, or you've invested so much books, office space, phones, laptops, you don't get to keep them to yourself. Not the trustees, not the members of the company limited by guarantee. You don't get to do that. What you do is it's called the special clause. During incorporation process, you see it there. It's called, you give it to a similar organization doing something similar to you. So as ASU is an organization, if I had a similar organization and I was winding up, I would look for, but the government could help you look for, an organization that does something similar to that could use all of these things, and then you offset it that way. So it is strictly non-profit. So stricto sensu for companies limited by guarantee, they are also strictly non-profit. So both of them could be non-profits, but the distinction lies in the kind of business you can do, the ability to do business and to raise funds. Then we have private company limited by shares. Okay, so I should explain what limited by guarantee is before we move to limited by shares, or limited basically. I already said that you're a separate legal entity, and limited liability means they can't come after you once you're incorporated, they go after the business. So now when it's limited by shares, the members of a company have 100% of the shares is shared among different members of the company, the shareholders. You have 30%, you have 40%. So when a liability comes up, it means that you are only liable to the percentage you hold. So if we had some legal trouble and the court has ordered us to pay 1 billion naira, if I owe 10% of the shares, 10% of 1 billion is what I'm liable for. So that's limited by shares. For limited by guarantee, because there's no shareholder, each member of the company, or each member of the company at incorporation says, this is how much I'm limited. You have to put a guarantee. That's why there's a guarantee. In case of trouble, this is how much each member would pay. So that sum is the guarantee. In Nigeria, the minimum is 100,000 naira. In Nigeria, the minimum you can be liable for is 100,000 naira. So if three people come together and say, limited by guarantee, we want to start the social enterprise, we're using the limited by guarantee framework, we could decide, oh, you know what, in case of any trouble, we'll be limited to the sum of 300,000 minimum for everybody. Or I take 300,000, you take 200,000, I take 100,000. Nobody would be allowed to pay less than, or to guarantee less than the sum of the 100,000. So that's where the limited comes in. Then public company limited by shares, unlimited companies, we don't have any business with those. Next slide. So you have partnerships, business name, holding companies, subsidiaries. These are other types of business organizations. But for the purpose of this session, we are focusing on the incorporated trustees and the company limited by guarantee. So in Nigeria, before we go into this, in Nigeria, if you are going to start a company, start a business, and you need to get incorporated, the first thing to know is that the agency in charge of this is the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC. The Corporate Affairs Commission, you can always find them online. CAC, you go to services.cac.gov.ng, services.cac.gov.ng. There you see all the services they render. You see all the types of companies. You have access to, the process. You have access to the fees. You have access to how long it should take. In fact, now for some types of companies, yes, for many of the types of companies in Nigeria, you can decide to start the process by yourself. You can even see it through by yourself. You may need some legal help when you're doing, your memorandum and your articles of association. These are the documents that you need to have. But it is a process you can start by yourself. You cannot start it on behalf of somebody else, because whoever starts it is an automatic, director or member in that company. So if you're not looking to be a part of that, then you should leave that. But if you're looking to do it for yourself, then you can do that. So let's go to incorporated trustee. An incorporated trusteeship, which is formed by more than one trustee. But you could, for the CAMA, that is Company and Allied Matters Act, that's the act that governs all of that. So the rule book for every company registration in Nigeria is the Company and Allied Matters Act. So you see everything from inception to types of directors to everything that governs your business, you see it there. Now you can have one person start an incorporated trustee. It's a new one. You can have one person. Before, it used to be at least 2 people in Nigeria for any type of company, but now one person can start. You register, you apply to be incorporated, and you do that. So like I explained, it's responsible for the day-to-day administration of educational, religious, literary, whatever type of course it is. There's a whole list of what you can do under that. And then the board of trustees are the ones that, bear responsibility for this company. They are not limited. There's no limited here. There's no limitation to the liability. The trustees are responsible for everything that goes on with this. Yeah, so for the company limited by guarantee, this is also similar to that, but it means that members are not liable for the debts. There's a limited liability. Instead, they have a responsibility to contribute a certain amount towards the assets of the company in the event that it gets wound up, right? So that amount is what I said is the minimum is 100,000 in Nigeria. For other countries, they have different, limited. So, for promotion of education, research, commerce, charity, whatever falls onto this. This is the most preferred. This is what many people in Nigeria use now, company limited by guarantee. Because in the past, when, innovation is getting better by the day, people are getting better, they're seeing problems and they're, innovating around that. Before, a lot of people used to do NGOs. And that was why, NGOs and, civil service societies, civil service organizations used to, really struggle to keep momentum because it's not for profit. So how do they get these funds? Funds are limited to raise grants. There was a whole lot of trouble there. But now people say that even if I want to, do some good, good in society and all, I still need to be able to fund all of this. I'm not taking the profit, but money has to come in one way or the other. And so people got creative. You have social enterprises where there are communities. They build a strong community. Members have access to sorts of trainings like this. have access to so many things, and they say, pay an annual fee. That annual fee, whatever they are raising for that, helps to further the objectives of the organization. They don't sit behind and say, oh, we are sharing this money. But it helps to further. It means that they are not waiting to win some grant or waiting to win an award or waiting for somebody to donate. So that's why the company limited by guarantee is the top choice for social enterprise. I should also mention that Nigeria seems to be one of the only countries left that make this distinction between company limited by guarantee and incorporated trustees. Many other nations have merged the two into one, and then they have categories. So you can, they've seen that there really is no reason why we should have a distinction, since they serve both very similar objectives. So many other countries, when you Google, when you try to start, you see company limited by guarantee only. You hardly find any incorporated trustees. I should also say that another benefit of registering this way is that you get tax exemptions because you're not making profits. The government only taxes, profits made. So you are not allowed to. However, if you raise funds or you get some sort of money to your members are contributing, or whatever commercial activity you're engaging, even if you're not sharing the profit, if you put it into some sort of investment and you get some profit on that, whatever profit you get is taxed. Whatever profit you get is taxed. The sum itself is not taxed. Whatever you raise itself is not taxed. But if you get some sort of profit from that, then that is taxed. So tax exemption is another reason to incorporate. So how exactly are they different? I've mentioned that. A company, yes. So because a company limited by guarantee is still a company, they are expected to hold annual general meetings. They can do business. An incorporated trustee is not expected to, hold the annual general meeting, although you can have general meetings with your members, but it's not mandated. Company limited by guarantee can do business, although the profit is used for the objectives. An incorporated trustee is not allowed to do business at all. NGO uses constitution. So NGOs, incorporated trustees, they have a constitution. But for companies limited by guarantee, you don't need to have a constitution. What you have is the memorandum of association and articles of association, like any other company that is registered, even for profit. The corporate personality conferred by CAMA, that's the Company and Allied Matters Act that I mentioned, is on the trustees. So the trustee or trustees, they have that responsibility. It's on them. And the company limited by guarantee, the company made up by its members has the corporate personality. So, yeah. So we explored, I was told that we are not all Nigerians here. So we explored the kind of, I don't know if, let me try to zoom in this a bit. Can you see it better now? Yes. So for Uganda, you have different types of companies like what we had before. You have sole proprietorship, you have private companies limited by shares or guarantee, public companies, unlimited companies, statutory corporations, branches, and all of that. So for Uganda, you see that there is no incorporated trustee, but there is a company limited by guarantee. Same for Ghana, you see that there is no incorporated trustee, there is no incorporated trustee, but there's the company limited by guarantee. For Nigeria, we have the incorporated trustees, we have companies limited by guarantee as well. In South Africa, company limited by guarantee. In Kenya, company limited by guarantee. So it makes it easier for you. If you are in any of these countries, you don't have to start weighing your options. Oh, what should I do? What should I not do? Should I go through the incorporated trustees or should I go as a company limited by guarantee? But in Nigeria, you have both options. So now let's talk about incorporation checklist. When you have identified what you want to go for, we've spoken about the why you should, we've spoken about the what you should. So what you should, either an incorporated trustee or company limited by guarantee. Now we're talking about the how. And this is the incorporation checklist. The first thing is to, select your name of choice. This way, you select two names, you submit them. Like I said, I'm using Nigeria as a case study. So you go to services.cac.gov. You see the name check, name availability check. You want to check if the name you want to use is available. They ask you for 2 options, and within a day, you get feedback on which one has been approved for you. So there's that. For company limited by guarantee, whatever name you pick would always end with LTD GTE. LTD/GTE. That's how it's written. For private companies, you just see something LTD. That's limited. Wherever you see limited, it means it's limited by shares. Wherever you see limited/GTE, that's limited by guarantee. Wherever you see PLC, it means that's a public company. So there are all these distinctions. You may not have noticed them, but you should look out for them now. After you've selected the name and you've been told that the name you chose is available, then you go on to start filling the forms. All the forms are online. You could download, you could fill them online and submit online as well. So, you have names, email addresses of all the people involved in the formation of the company or of the incorporated trustee. You put in their details. Then of the secretary, you should have a secretary. They would ask you for that, the details of that too, the registered address of your company. Where is this company going to be situated? Some people use their homes. Some people have office spaces. It doesn't have to be an office space. You could use your house. It's just for correspondence. It means that if they're going to send you anything, the government needs to reach you. This is the address where you can reach us at. Approval of, yes. Now, let's talk about approval of Attorney General. For a company limited by guarantee, in your application process, you are going to need the approval of the Attorney General of the Federation. So don't get scared. Don't get don't panic. You'd apply for this even online, the same way you've been applying for other things. So you just apply, fill in, you pay a certain form, about 10,000 naira. They get back to you whether it has been approved or not. Then that's for the company limited by guarantee. You need the Attorney General's approval. For the incorporated trustee, you need the Registrar General of CAC's approval. Then you provide proof of identity. An official ID card will do. Could be your passport, could be your driver's license, could be your voter's card. I mean, any official ID card will do. Then you have your signatures. Now, newspaper notice for an incorporated trustee, you'll be required, and this is what could make your process delay a bit. You will be required to place a newspaper notice in the newspaper, 2 dailies, 2 dailies, to say that we, the trustees, the names will be listed. We, blah, 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 and Mojolaoluwa Olaifa, Adeyemi Adeleko, 3 and 4, whatever the number, would like to incorporate this company. We're putting public on notice. If there's any reason why it should not be incorporated, sort of a marriage notice, people are meant to send such reasons to the commission. This notice will be in the newspaper for 28 working days. After this has been put out, so about roughly a month, after this has been up for a month, if there is no, objection to this, nobody sends any reason why it should not be incorporated to the Attorney General or the Registrar General, then you're free to continue. You would be incorporated. So the newspaper notice is another thing. Because it takes 28 days, it kind of puts a lull on the whole process, but it is needed. For incorporated trustees, that's the IT there, you need to have an official seal. The organization needs an official seal. So the seal and stamp, the official seal that bears the name of the organization and the address. This is used for all your processes, all your official processes. They want to see the seal of authenticity.